Let's do an example by looking at a couple, Joe and Sue. Both Joe and Sue are financially frustrated and tired of being tired. Both of them feel like they're inadequate and they're ready to quit. Like any marriage with financial problems, Joe and Sue's marriage is on the rocks. As their friend, you suggest they start by doing a budget. You encourage them to write down on a piece of paper their income at the top, which for them was $3,800, and then write down each of their expenses. They did this and found out they have $1,277 to put towards paying off their debts. Next, you encourage them to write down on another piece of paper each of their debts. They should write down the name of the company or person they owe money to, and then the remaining balance, and finally the required payment amounts. You start by drawing an empty debt elimination plan, which includes the name of the debt, the current balance, the required payment amount, the possible payment amount, the individual months for each, and finally, the cumulative total number of months. Looking back at their list, how do you decide which order to list the debts on their debt elimination plan? The answer is to start with a debt that has the smallest balance. According to the list, that is Mary's, so you transfer the name, balance, and required payments to the form. Which do you record next? According to their list, the next smallest is Mall Card, with a $498 balance. Repeating what you did previously, record Mall Card, $498, and the required payment of $34 to the second line. Staying with this pattern, you see their next smallest balance is Cheap Rooms. Moving quickly, you record all the information for Cheap Rooms on the third line. Now back on their list of debts, you see their next smallest is Finance 2. Again, you go back to the form and complete all the appropriate information for this debt. So which do you list next? Yeah, you got it, Auto Depot. Note the extra piece of information. They have 25 payments left on this debt as of now. So you go back and fill in the next row. This leaves one more, Car-Mart. Note it too shows the number of payments remaining, which in this case is 31. You fill in the sixth row with Car-Mart's information. Now total up the overall amount of debt and the amount of money needed to meet all of their required payments and write them on the next row. With this, we see that they have $1,277 available to pay off their debt according to their budget, and they need $1,048 for required payments. This leaves an extra $229. Instead of paying $29 towards Mary's as required, they will pay $258 until it is paid off. By paying $258 on Mary's and the required payments on all other debts, you now have allocated the full $1,277. Next, you need to calculate the number of individual months. To do this, start by dividing the balance by the possible payment amount. This will give you the number of individual months needed to pay off that debt once all previous ones have been paid. For Mary's, it will take 2 months, so write that in the appropriate space. Since Mary's is the first debt, write 2 for the total months as well. Both car payments have a specific number of payments remaining. As of now, Auto Depot has 25. Using a table like this, start by marking off the 2 months needed to pay off Mary's. This will leave 23 payments. Initially, Joe and Sue also owe 31 payments to Car-Mart. So again, using a similar table, mark off 2 payments to indicate there are 29 remaining. After 2 months, Joe and Sue can add the $258 they were paying on Mary's to the required amount from Mall Card. It will then be possible to pay $292. With this amount, it will take 2 months to pay it off. Since it took 2 months to eliminate Mary's and will take 2 more months for Mall Card, the total shows it will take 4 to pay off both. Going back to your tables, mark off 2 more months for Auto Depot and do the same for Car-Mart. In 4 months, the money allocated to Mall Card can be added to the $102 they had been paying on cheap rooms. Once that happens, you can calculate that it will take them 6 more months to pay off this next debt. Adding these 6 months to the 4 it took to pay off the first 2 shows a cumulative total of 10 months. Once cheap rooms is paid, you want to know how many car payments are left. Marking off 6 indicates there will be 15 remaining on Auto Depot. Doing the same thing for Car-Mart tells you that Joe and Sue will have 21 payments remaining on their second car. They will then roll over the $394 to Finance 2. By paying $518 each month, it will take them 14 more months to completely pay it off. Altogether, it will take them 24 months to pay off Finance 2. So keeping up the date with the number of car payments remaining, you mark off 14 more for each. Once all 4 credit cards are paid off, Joe and Sue will only have 1 more car payment before Auto Depot is paid off. Doing the same thing for Car-Mart, again marking off 14 payments, you determine there will be 7 more payments necessary to pay off this final debt. The $518 previously paid on Finance 2 would then roll over to Auto Depot. But remember, there's only 1 payment left as they will be 24 months into the plan once Auto Depot becomes the focus. The balance has diminished to $357 as that is the amount of the 1 payment. You could divide like normal, but you would still come up with 1 month and a total of 25 months. You will need to mark that 1 month off the table for Car-Mart. Doing so, you determine there will be 6 months left, so they'll end up paying this debt off early. To calculate the balance, you multiply the payment amount of $402 by the 6 payments remaining to get a balance of $2,412. Now the full $1,277 can go towards paying off this last car. You need to update the balance to indicate the $2,412 that will be the balance after 25 months. Using that number, you determine it will take 2 more months to pay off the car for a total of 27 months. You then tell Joe and Sue that by following this debt elimination plan, they can be debt-free in just 27 months. Now have them imagine how nice it would be to divert the money previously dedicated to debt to other things. How nice would it be to use the $1,277 for a larger emergency fund, college, retirement, or paying the house off early?